There comes a moment when you've exhausted all your options while simultaneously coming across a product that reinvents your notion about what an honest and high-quality company looks like. The Healing Rose was the catalyst to that very moment for me. The Healing Rose Company is a female-owned Massachusetts CBD company based out of Newburyport that prides themselves in using only the best USDA-certified organically sourced ingredients for their vast line of therapeutic products. Their line stretches from lip balms, tinctures, skin balms, roll-on oils, and bath products. Their transparency places them above the rest with third-party tested results showcasing their intolerance to toxic pesticides, solvents, metals, and harmful elements. They provide full-spectrum CBD in many of their products, excluding their tinctures, which carry a broad spectrum profile, ideal for not having to worry about any low-level THC, which is common for many CBD products. That one's my favorite, and it's good on the palate. Full spectrum means that they extract from the hemp plant an array of different therapeutic cannabinoids along with CBD and their profile terpenes. The combination results in a greater outcome of healing and relaxation for any individual's needs. Whether you are an athlete looking for any recovery advantage, a patient in need of some relief to remind yourself that you are still a warrior, or someone who sees the frontiers of life with a little reserve and want to calm the mental storms that keep you from personally exploring, the Healing Rose CBD Company is here for your full body and mind optimization. Please visit thehealingroseco.com to explore their diverse line of products and support one of New England's best rising stars in an industry where ethics are fundamental, and a company like this will only be found sitting at the throne of it all. Use the code SAGAS, S-A-G-A-S, for 10% off your purchase. Again, visit thehealingroseco.com and use the promo code SAGAS at checkout for 10% off your purchase. To the many martial artists, entrepreneurs, dreamers, and thinkers, how often, for your own sake, would you love a symbolic reminder of your mentality and the perfect dichotomy to match? Murder Nerd is an independent clothing apparel line that represents the sharp, relentless focus towards personal growth and athletics. It embodies the vitality of their creative owners and the network of people who run on the same frequency. Why not elevate your frequency in comfort and style? Visit www.murdernerdsfitness.com for their personal line of shirt and hat wear. Enter the promo code SAGAS, S-A-G-A-S, for 10% off your purchase. Again, visit murdernerdfitness.com and enter the promo code SAGAS for 10% off your purchase. All right, back at it. Sitting and sweating, no beeping. Whew, okay. All right, this is going to be, I hope this works out. And I hope this works out in the sense that I hope I make myself very clear. And that's not always easy when there's a lot of details, and sometimes I'm not good at it in general. Wish I would go back and say this, say that. Wish I could think better just on the fly. Whatever. And if this just goes downhill, then who knows, maybe you won't hear it. But I'm going to try. So this is going to be very in the vein of some grind my gears type of shit. And I'm about to put some shit on blast right now. And I'm going to mix up some names. And I'm bringing this up as something that I observe as a microcosm to a much greater way of handling situations in this day and age, and it's not good. It's not good at all, and I think that you'll see that this way of thinking is unfortunately, number one, misrepresenting themselves, and number two, so loud and somehow so powerful that it moves the needle on what we discuss, but that doesn't mean that it gains more traction in the amount of people that agree in the way that this camp thinks. So what I mean by this is, I'm a part of a group, we'll just call it that. They talk online. Damn it, didn't even press start. They talk online. It's a community that's supposed to support a lot of, I don't even want to call them progressive ideas, because there's a bunch of just buzzwords getting thrown around all these conversations, but we'll just keep it at that just to make it simple. Progressive ideas, which are really just fucking common sense ideas. And I joined this group, and initially it's good and it's nice, and I like the sentiments. And when I saw the group, I thought to myself that this is really cool. I think this would have been nice, like when I was younger. I can't guarantee that I would have been a part of it, but maybe it was something that, like, if my parents liked it and they introduced me to it, it would have been a positive influence. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, the group talks online, and sometimes I guess they get together and just show their support in where they stand with anti-racism, all of the things that are going on right now with disenfranchised communities, and all that stuff. And I think that that's all very positive, and you can have your own opinion on whether kids should know that, shouldn't know that. Some people say that if you don't even talk about it, then all people become normal in the sphere of the perception of a child. If you even try to educate a child on the systemic problems and differences between races, then they start to recognize these people and categorize them. That's the beginning of them categorizing people, even if you are a progressive or well-intended. But that's a different conversation, and I don't, that's too much for me to even understand really right now. But it's a good conversation to have. Anyways, I thought it was cool. I think it's a good idea. So I see a new post that we get online. Now keep in mind, like, I can smell an overreaching sentiment a mile away. And I don't even mean overreaching. I think I meant to say, oh Jesus, an overcorrective response towards an issue. So I'm a little fishy as to kind of like how this thing is going with the post, and I support it, and it is what it is, and I come from a small town, and I love my town, and I love all the people in my town, or the people that I know. A lot of my close friends still live there, and if I had the time and the availability, I would still probably go see a lot of them. So Okay. I see these posts, they get posted up. We come up with a new post. The new post, and I can't say this verbatim, but has something to along the lines of trying to ask a question. The question is, in essence, can you support law enforcement, support the the Black Lives Matter movement, and also be anti-racist? And it just kind of expands on that idea for like 1-2 sentences. Shows a little like quirky graph that has all three of those ideas kind of color shaded in their own circles and then overlapping so that all three of them meet, and then it's got a little thing that says me, which is supposed to show like that yes, I can't agree with all of these things. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to respond with something simple and just say, like, this is an obvious one. Is this not obvious? And that's all I said. I said, the question seems like an obvious yes. And then I added a little something just kind of saying what I had said earlier, which is my appreciation for just this group and how cool it is that it's in my town. Keep in mind, this town is not super diverse. I'm Nicaraguan. I'm 100% Spanish. I think I knew maybe 3 Spanish people. Maybe 3 my whole life. So the demographics, they're not really mixed in this town at all. But you know, that's neither here or there. Like that's just kind of the context a little bit to what I'm talking about. So I also add, you know, I'm dying to know what the rebuttal would be to other than yes. Because it's like, why are these ideas like mutually exclusive? Why? Explain it to me. And as I'm making the post, I'm thinking to myself, no, I can already play the what do you call it? The parroting of a script that I've heard and read a million times from a group of people that are like overly progressive, very militant in their opinions, and they all use the same words, they all have the same explanations, but it all kind of ends at a point the moment you try to force them to dig into the weeds of what they're really talking about. And I'm like, all right, I hope that doesn't happen here, but I'm not going to be surprised if it does. And at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know if that's a good idea to even ask this question. I almost think that the question was put there knowing that there was going to be some infighting in the group. And I don't know if I really appreciated that, because to me it almost came off pretty obvious. So whoever the admin is in this thing, I think they knew what they were doing. I could be wrong. Or they could have just put this in there hoping to just spark a circle jerk of self-congratulatory shit and signaling to everybody that they're all on the same page and that they all want to, you know, defund the police, right? This is kind of what everybody's talking about lately. I'm like, all right, I leave it, and I literally forget about it, and I wake up, and I have I think, what was it? I think there was like 2 posts that were like multiple paragraphs long, and it was exactly what I had thought. That this has been going on forever. The black community has always wanted to defund the police. They need to get rid of the police altogether. The money that's allocated to them needs to be redistributed into social programs, the schools, housing, whatever other thing you don't have a clue about. They want the money to go there. And yes, it's true. If you have good school systems, if you have good housing, if you have a place that's worth living and it is safe to live, then people can live peacefully, right? But we're people. And a degree next to that is that we're all animals. We're all primal. We all work hard to maintain. And what I mean by that is, like, any one of us have the ability to either slip up or do some horrendous shit. And if you don't, you know, I don't know what to tell you, because it's just not true. We're all capable. And on our worst days, it can be very bad. So the idea is to just kind of somehow self-police everybody. I don't know how that works. So I read these things, and it's verbatim, just like people repeating and repeating and repeating. And eventually they're just talking to each other in a way that's like, they're not addressing me. They're just kind of doing their soapbox speech to each other, kind of like while they hold hands, if that makes any sense. Like they're just kind of high-fiving the whole time, just making sure everybody knows where we stand and where I stand, and I stand here. Yet no one's actually talking to me or addressing my question. And my question is, how? So how are you going to... Let me back up. So one of the things is that it's somehow dismissive towards these communities that these communities and people that are being hurt by law enforcement. It's dismissive to them if you support good people, well-trained people, and a code to protect people when it's achieved to the best of its ability. It's dismissive somehow. Okay. So then tell me how. I'm here to learn. I'm here to have a discussion, right? My assumption in joining this group is to see what kind of actual progressive ideas. These aren't progressive. These are the same old fucking things everybody's heard constantly, just to let everyone know that they're a good person. That's not progressive. You're not bringing anything new to the table. You're not bringing anything to any nuance. Everyone on this page is just telling me the same thing off of like the one book that they all passed around to each other. That's what it sounds like. So my question was, how? Tell me, give me a methodical, mechanistic approach that somehow brings to reality the theory that we will all be safer if we move funds or totally dismantle the police. Next thread, nothing. Same old thing. Just the same ideas, just using a little spice of a little bit of a different language, you know, because that's what we like to do. We like to throw in some good verbiage because it'll make us sound smart, and at the same time it'll also aid in dismantling anybody who wants to oppose us. because it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, right? That's what we do. It's an intimidation tactic that somehow not smart people use to sound smart. And we'll call him Bob. Bob comes in, says kind of some of the same stuff, then also throws in, well, I think there's a lot of white people in this group that don't want to support Black Lives Matter. And that's dangerous. And that's not supportive. And on and on and on and on. And, a little passive aggressive, kind of calls it cute to come in here and not do as I say and support as I do type of shit. So I'm like, all right, how did this turn into this? So no one has answered my question. I'm here to learn. If you got like proof of concept, right? Is there literature that talks about how this would work? Or are we just throwing around ideas and hoping that they stick in a system that needs to be looked at with an incredible amount of attention to detail? Because we're looking for outcomes, not just moments of gambling, right? People's safety is on the line. Good people's jobs are on the line, right? Kids' lives are on the line. Who have good parents whose parents are now not going to work, or that have somehow been demonized. So we're hurting way more people than we even attend to with this virtuous concept. And I'm still open to the idea. It's just no one's giving me any real solid. I'm not even asking for evidence because some of this is new. I'm looking for details inside of a concept, not just surface-based, we need to put money here. This will make us safer. All right, well, tell me how. Tell me how that works with human psychology. How does that work budget-wise? How does that maintain homeostasis when it comes to relationships with your law enforcement? So we're just giving the middle finger to cops, and that's just going to fix it. That's it. No relationship building, no nothing. Okay. That's just my question, yet I still don't have an answer. So back to Bob. Bob chimes in with this comment. So I have to say back to Bob, so we're supposed to support a movement, but you don't know if we support a movement, and still even joining this quote unquote anti-racist progressive group is not enough. Like, we're here to communicate and be proud that we're not part of this ridiculous, horrible, vile society that feels that they're better than people, whether it's white supremacy, the KKK, like all the extremes, right? Like, yeah, no shit. Like, we're here to support good ideas. But that's not enough. It's not enough to just be a part of the group, right? We have to throw up our flag. We have to throw up our opinions. We have to throw up our support. And I'm like, you don't know that people don't. You are yourself. And if you are yourself, you're no one else. So how the fuck do you know what anybody's true heartfelt intention is and what they support and don't support? And how do you know that it's not a good idea to ask questions about an idea and then get enough good answers so that in the end you give the right amount of support? Right? whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's defund the police. So these are just absolutes. We just have to go down that route. Nope, absolutely not. You have to do this, you have to do that. Well, maybe we would if we were allowed to know the details, right? All this mutually exclusive shit. Why can I not question how to make the police department better and still support the people that have been wronged by individual police officers, right? Why can I not support all of my Black friends, Hispanic friends, whatever, which I have quite a bit of, which I think is the problem with this group, and still question some of the motives to the organization, not the sentiments. That's a no shit fucking moment. The sentiments are there. I am all for justice. I am all for elevating my brothers and sisters. Duh. But why can't we have a couple questions? Why can't we wonder if it's a good idea to have an organization collect a lot of money and not know where it goes? Or find out that it's funneled through another organization that works in conjunction with one political party, right? Why can't we question that? So it's okay to have money in politics as long as it goes to the right people. That's kind of what I'm getting, right? Yet this is the side that says we need money out of politics, right? And then just quite a few other things that are very strange because we've somehow veered off of the brutality into other areas of overreaching ideas under the guise of progressiveness. You can't have those ideas. You can't have those questions. Don't ask anything. You're a good person, but now you're a bad person. I might be a bad person for even making this podcast. And if I am, it's only to stupid people. I don't know what else to say. I don't like saying that. I don't like saying that. And because I know who I am, I know where I'm coming from, and I also know that I'm willing to bend with my ideas. But when you keep kind of repeating the same scenario, and I kind of keep saying, I kind of keep seeing the same caricature in people, I'm like, oh, this is just kind of, I'm running into a wall of groupthink, and no one's giving me anything good, and all these people just kind of want to feel like they're safe in numbers and in a group. Why? I don't know. That can be a loaded question too, right? I know I bring it all up all the time, but I'm a big proponent of this. We don't look at the characters of these people that might be well-intended in doing this. Because unfortunately, I think that what we're running into a lot lately is that, and when I say this, I'm telling you from experience and having to look at myself so that I don't continue this behavior, that I think that, what was it? It kind of trickles down with this idea. A very, very wise person told me that void of whether you like him or not, the president comes off traumatized. So when you have a traumatized president, it reflects that you may have a traumatized nation. That can be interpreted and broken down in a lot of different ways. And one way that I see that is that when something bad happens to you, especially when you're young, right? And you don't know how to break it apart, and it really does affect you, you assign an idea or a person an enemy, right? So now I have a racist, rude, misogynistic, asshole uncle who's treated my mom like shit, who is incredibly rude to me. I see the way he talks, and I grow up and I grow to hate him and the ideas around him. And what we do now is that we overcorrect, overcompensate, if you will. So now we assign new enemies as our uncle, right? My uncle always talked about Republicans, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now we have this bridge that we've connected where Republicans and my uncle are the same. This president, my uncle, are the same. Hate my uncle. These people, you voted for him, you are like my uncle. Right? And this is a small portion of how kind of like psychotherapy works, where you don't realize you're reacting in a certain way because you're assigning the old identity to a new identity because of the way that new identity is triggering you. And what that does is just it makes you become very militant with this, because the harder you push against this new identity, the farther away and the better off you are from your association to that old piece of shit that used to be in your life. Right? It's continuous feathers in the cap so that you get further and further away from that old enemy. And I think that that's what we're doing. Because people go through a lot, man. We all know that. Everyone does. Everyone goes through a lot. And some people get lucky. And some people don't get lucky. And I don't think that we give ourselves enough time to know what's going on with us. And when we don't, we do this type of stuff. We turn people around us into enemies. Because something in us still feels not good enough or not respected or whatever, and the world is now just full of triggers because one individual or one event kind of took the wind out of our sails, and we're sitting here trying to get it back by fighting with people that all we should really be doing is listening. And if you're going to disagree with the most razor sharp objectivity that you can, right? And some people you know that you're not going to get along with, you know that you're not on the same page, or you don't associate with. That's fine. But you better really, really know who that person is. You better really know why as well. Because you might be making enemies that would otherwise be your friends. But because you haven't thought about your thoughts enough, you're now going to give off an energy that's almost predatory. Just attacking. If people don't want to think like you. And that's a shame, because you yourself are probably a good person too. And you're going to make enemies when you don't even mean to. But if they push against any idea slightly and in a compassionate way, we take the leap and we right away assign them the enemy and label them. And that's dangerous, because you start labeling people when they shouldn't be. They can lose their jobs, you ruin people's reputations, all for what? So you can feel good? You can feel good that somehow you got someone in trouble. Because they're this, they're that. These labels that we just chuck around so easily now, it's incredibly fucking dangerous. We need to be good to each other. Listen to each other. Be compassionate to one another. Hear each other's sides. Did school not somehow teach even the youngest child that the world is still full of gray? And that you can still have an opinion, but you still got to hear the other person's opinion. And if something makes sense on that, allow that to kind of come into yours. Just a little bit. It doesn't make you bad. So, I don't know. That's what was on my mind today. That is what went down. And I still didn't get my question answered. So, I'm not sure how much longer I'll probably stay on that group. But if it's a group that doesn't really value and really know how to engage in conversation, then it's kind of just turned into another circle jerk group that you can find anywhere on the internet. And that's sad because it has to do with my town. And unfortunately, they're going to influence very influenced people to think in black and white, pun intended. Under the banner of thinking that you're teaching people to be more tolerant. When in the end, I didn't really feel very tolerated in the group by asking just one question. So, yeah, I don't know. That's my rant. And I really just tell you this because I want my friends to know I'm a good person. You know I'm a good person. But it's just very important and good to be able to think for yourself. Think for yourself. Ask good questions. Ask good questions to your friends. Know how to speak. If you can verbalize yourself well, then you can kind of gracefully bring up heavy topics, controversial ideas, without making people mad, right? I'm not looking to win. If I'm looking to win, then conversations get bad because I just force my idea. Where I want to be elastic. I want to get a pull, push, however way this conversation goes, so that we both kind of agree, and that if I come out very wrong about something, I'll walk away with my tail between my legs and I'll come back better. That's how it should be, right? The fucking jiu-jitsu mentality, right? Go get fucking beat so you come back better. What the fuck, man? And I think, I say that because I don't want people to self-censor too. Don't be afraid. I think you'll find that a lot of people will listen to you and agree with you. And the ones that don't are really a small amount of people. And they need help too. It's just that no one's there to kind of bring them along, open them up to just having good dialogue. I'm not saying I know. I'm not saying I have the answers to these things, but I'm asking questions. And I'm a very systematic kind of guy. So if you don't have good ideas that have ducks and in a row with your T's and your I's all set, then it's fragile, it's breakable. And that's not going to stick when you're trying to move the marker of society and ideas. So, all right. Sorry this was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but shit, I'm hot. Good sauna session, though. And please, 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 please know that I'm very... my intentions are good. And if you got a problem with whatever I said, send me a message. Go ahead. And if you have a problem and you don't send me a message, then that's fine too. That's perfectly fine. I'm just here to share. But I won't allow anybody to turn me into a boogeyman, because that's not what I am. I'm the last motherfucker you want to try to do that with. Alright guys, thank you for listening. I hope everybody has a good night, good weekend, wherever we're at. So be good. Wear your masks. Let's get the fuck out of this thing.